Hi, welcome to Blade and Brush, everyone. I'm Mike, your dry shaver, back with another video. And I mean, it's not quite dry shave, but yeah, I'm using Lectric Shave by Williams as my liquid, and then I've got the Freebird Flex series razor. I've reviewed this on the channel before. Yeah, it's actually quite a good razor. It comes with a whole bunch of parts to it, which include a little set of mini clippers, along with the attachments for it, and then you've got your ear and nose hair trimmer. Then you've got like your little brush. The brush is basically to help. No. Yeah, the brush is basically to go over your face and exfoliate, but there's also a scalp massager attachment as well. I find that both of them do a very good job. But yeah, so this is something that you can use. So let's go ahead and get this done quick because I start work at noon. Now the Freebird Flex is a USB charged, cordless electric razor. It's designed for use in the shower. But you can also use it as a dry razor as well. Yeah, you can see the difference it's made already. It's actually quite good. But yeah, so I did tell you about how I met my fiance that I had met through an online dating site. But it's also a Christian dating site. I ordinarily don't care for Christian dating sites because usually the people you find on there are utterly pretentious and not really Christian, although they pretend to be. But in this case, I was a little bit against the grain as far as, yeah, pun intended. But I was a little bit against the grain as far as guys who look for Southeast Asian wives. A lot of them are deeply conservative, and they want to go looking for women who are who they think are going to be meek and submissive and obedient, as opposed to Western women who they claim are ruined by feminism and gay rights somehow, and have high body counts, some kind of bullshit. I actually don't care about any of that stuff, but a lot of guys do, and so they get sold this lie about how Southeast Asian women supposedly are. Their public behavior is actually more about decorum than anything else. Truth is, and I know this from observing interracial couples, that that's really only in public. In private, the wives still kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna wear the pants in the family. You'll be the breadwinner, but inside the home, I'm in charge. So, yeah, guys, if you think you're gonna live it up in paradise with a meek and submissive Asian wife, guess again. No, women are pretty much the same all over, at their core. So, I wasn't actually looking for that, but I've never really been very socially. I'm trying to think of the right word. But I've always been socially awkward. And I was never into the bar scene or clubs. And then COVID hit. And that pretty much nixed the idea of going to bars and clubs anyway, even if I were inclined, which I'm not. So I was trying dating apps like Plenty of Fish, Tinder, Hinge. Nothing really worked because, like I said, I'm kind of awkward. I tend to say the wrong thing because I get nervous and I'm not really sure what to say. And it might sound good in my head, but when it comes out onto the screen or in conversation, it does tend to be not what a lot of people are used to. So anyway, being a student of history and wanted to learn more about the world, I do like to watch YouTube channels from people in other parts of the world. Just to kind of gain an idea of how they live, how they think. Which I think everyone should be willing to do, But, I was looking at this one channel by a Filipina who is talking about her relationship with her British fiance, who is now her husband. And she has a link to this dating website where you actually go and meet people who are looking for marriage. Yeah, because I'm over 50 now, and even before I hit 50, I was looking for someone to spend the rest of my life with. I mean, I've had dates before, I've had relationships before, but nothing that really lasted. So I figured, what the heck, I'll try out this website, see what happens, and that's how I met Melanie. And what drew me to her, was her smile, her laugh. Which she just feels free to cut loose and be herself. And when we met in person, things solidified because it turns out she's a relentless tickler too. It's like, think that's about as close a shave as I'm going to get with this. Yeah, just because, in my experience, electric razors can get the job done, but in problem areas like along the neck, yeah, they do tend to lack. I mean, it's not the fault of Freebird. You know, they have, in my opinion, developed a very good razor, but it's just, you know, for guys like me who have problem spots that are just very difficult for any razor, electric or otherwise, to get a good close shave on. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really work. Yeah, so that's about all I have time to mess around for. But yeah, so like the rest, as I say, is history, as I said yesterday in my last video. So I do plan on going back later this year to marry her. And I am looking for jobs overseas. I'm thinking China perhaps, or maybe Korea. Definitely not Japan because, yeah, I'm not a fan of the current Japanese government. It's getting way too comfortable with its militarism, which last time it was militaristic, we ended up having to fight a years-long war. When it comes to history, I've studied the Second World War with some detail, and I know enough about the war in the Pacific to understand just how brutal the Japanese really were, and how a lot of the ideology that drove their ambitions is still permeated throughout their culture and society. Even though outwardly they put on a more polite tone, but yeah, they're getting a little bit too aggressive for my liking. You know, not that Japan is politically a monolith. There are different groups, but they've only had the same ruling party in place since the end of World War II. Anytime you have any one political party in charge for such a long period of time, there's going to be problems. And when they start getting ideas in their heads, yeah. But yeah, that's a sad truth, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. Things can change. But the reason I want to try living and working overseas is because, one, the standard of living is higher, and two, the costs tend to be a bit lower, depending on where you live. So if I can get a job that lets me work overseas, then, you know, I can live relatively inexpensively compared to what I would over here, even if the salary isn't much higher than what I'm making now. So, you know, everything's a trade-off. And to those who want to say in the comments, you know, oh, you know, China's a dictatorship. Well, you know what? So is the United States in way too many ways. You're going to have authoritarianism to one degree or another in any country. You know, U.S. is more overtly authoritarian. China is covertly authoritarian, and South Korea, don't even get me started on that. But But yeah, I mean, just no country is going to be 100% what you want it to be. You just have to respect the laws and customs, and don't be an asshole, and don't go for the wrong reasons. So if I do live and work overseas, it's going to be from the perspective of wanting to learn, more about my wife's culture, language, history. Because a lot of guys who move over to the Philippines or other parts of Asia, to retire, do so from the position of, I want to get away from so-called Western degeneracy or high cost of living. And the high cost of living aspect I can agree with, but, just not the other reasons. So my temptation, if I live and work over there, regardless of what country it is to kind of do like my own vlog, like a lot of YouTubers and expats do, but from the perspective of someone who's actually making a genuine effort to learn about the place where I'm staying, and just kind of report honestly on what I see and share my experiences. Now, that may or may not be something you would care for. I don't know. All I know is I don't want to try and bring my own agenda over there and let that dictate the nature of the channel, because being educated in history, I have to try and maintain some level of disinterested observation, be more objective in my analysis. I do not go for subjective history. I think history is objective and our perceptions are subjective. And we have to try and not let our own biases and agendas color what we're reporting on. Just kind of let the facts speak for themselves. So I don't have any illusions. But I do want to learn. And I can't do that if I'm just keeping my butt over here and sticking to my own bubble, So yeah, I might actually start a fundraiser to help get me set up while I look for work. That will let me work from overseas, maybe a remote job. Because I don't want to retire now. I'm only 52, I mean, maybe when I'm like 60, 65, that might be another story. But I've still got plenty of working years left in me, even if I'm only working for myself. Anyway, it's enough on my rambling. I don't want to make this video too long. But yeah, that was the Freebird Flex series razor, along with Lectric shave. Very good product if you want to use an electric razor. Helps keep the face nice and slick so that you can run it over. But as you can see, it did get the job done. It's not as close as you would get with a safety razor, but it's still pretty decent. Anyway, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you never miss a video. And until next time, this is Mike for Blade and Brush, signing off.